Now we're going to talk about stances in karate. In the earlier videos, we did what I call a stationary stance, uchi, hashiji, dachi, where you can practice the basics and the punching, and as we did juniko also, in a standing, in one position. It doesn't really move. You're just standing and holding the stance. It's a training stance. What we're going to learn now is the most fundamental, basic karate stance that we use in Chito. It's called Seisan dachi, and it's used for moving and practicing basics, and ultimately it is a very practical fighting stance that you use. Because it's practical for fighting and for movement, it's very natural. So there's some specific things that you have to know about how the stance is set up and how it works, but the first thing about it is that it's very natural. It's about as long as a natural step. So if you're just walking, that's about how long means this way, wide is this way when we talk about stance in karate. So that's how long it is. It's a natural step. Just like with uchi and pretty much any stance you're going to do in karate, your knees have to be bent. You really want to feel yourself sink into the stance. Really important about this stance, which is a defining feature of it, is that the front foot is turned in. What I mean is it's about a 45-degree angle, or right in between, not straight forward, not out to the side, right in the middle of that 45-degree angle. The rear foot is turned in. It's not pointing forward, but it's not quite as far out to the side. If I had both feet lined up this way, parallel to each other, it's like I'm on railroad tracks going this way. I don't want that. I want to point both toes at the same point. We usually say, if you're looking at a clock, 12 o'clock in the middle, it's either going to be 11 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Since I'm left leg forward, my toes are pointed at 1 o'clock. So they're both pointed the same, which means this one's turned a little bit more in. The stance is only about as wide as my shoulders. With the toes turned in, there's only about an inch or two between, if I hold them together, between the big toe of my left foot and the heel of this foot. So about as wide as the shoulders. When you're sinking, as I mentioned before, in this stance, both knees are bent. The front knee should be bent so that if I look down, without leaning forward, but if I look down, I don't see my toes. That's how much you want to bend. If it's more than that, and if I can see my toes, then it's not bent enough. So you want to have this sinking feeling. It's really important. Probably the most common criticism I have of my new students, especially with kids, is that they stand up like this. And that's no good in karate. You've got to keep the knees bent. So here's what the stance looks like from the side. This is with obviously my right leg forward. Toes will both be pointed at 11 o'clock, if 12 o'clock is forward. The hips in this stance, they can be in a forward position where my hips are turned all the way in. If you notice, my belt knot goes straight out to the side, or I can turn no more than 20 degrees off from the center. I don't want to open the stance too big. And when I say open, I mean turn my hips this way. So you'll see how that applies to different karate techniques as we move in this stance. But the idea is, in a natural position, my belt knot is pointed about 20 degrees off. Again, from the front, here's completely forward, and then hips turn to the side. When I move in this stance, stepping in Seisan dachi, it's called crescent stepping. So if I'm going to step forward, right now my hips are off to the side. I bring my feet completely together, both pointed forward, and my hips face to the front. I brought my right leg in. I'm going to step out now. If I step straight forward, I'd be what we call on line. Sometimes we do that in karate, but typically you want to be offline. So you want to step back out so that, again, I'm about shoulder width with my feet. Once I stop moving, my hips, I want them to rest in a natural position where my hips are turned a little bit to the side, not locked forward. So, and then backing up works the same way. I would bring my right foot in, and then step back out. Crescent stepping, meaning it's shaped, like a crescent moon, that shape. So, again, your right leg in, step out. Left leg in, step out. Backing up, left leg, feet together, hips forward, feet forward, step out, feet turn back to where they're both pointed at 11 o'clock. Bring the right leg in, step back, again, shoulder width, crescent stepping, hips are off. Just show you that from the side. So, hips are off, feet come together, forward, step out, shoulder width, hips off, pointing at 1 o'clock. Backing up, left foot comes in, step out, crescent shape step. So that's Seisan dachi, the correct position, and the correct crescent stepping motion. Now that we've learned how to move in Seisan dachi, this stance, we're going to take our punches that we did before, again from uchi hashiji dachi, stationary punches. We're going to do those punches while moving. Just to refresh you, let's do them together. So get up, get into uchi, the pigeon-toed stance that we did in the earlier videos, and remember how to make a fist. Roll your knuckles all the way in, close the thumb over the first two. Put your left hand out in front. Let's do 10 punches together. Right hand on your hip, so we remember the correct form for punching. So we're going to pull with our left hand, let the right hand come out, turning over at the very end. So slow. All right, let's count 10. I'm at a medium speed. Don't worry about punching really hard or fast, but just worry about doing them correctly. Turning the hands over at the end, keeping the elbows down. Ich, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. Good. So now we're going to take Seisan dachi, the stance we just learned, and we're going to do what's called oizuki. So punching, zuki is the Japanese for a punch. Oizuki means a lunging punch or a thrusting punch. The key characteristic of this punch is that it's the same hand as whatever leg's forward, that's the hand that's going to punch. And at the same time, this punch is done while moving, while stepping. So if I have my left hand out, I have my left leg out, I'm in Seisan dachi. I'm going to take a step forward, again, crescent stepping. I step in, halfway up, and then as I step out with my right foot, notice my hips, when I land, are forward, but when I punch, just like punching when you were in uchi, same exact punch, it's just I'm going to let my hips open to the side. So I pull and punch. And do the same thing again, moving forward, feet together. I'm going to step out with my left foot. Again, see how my hips are totally forward. And then when I pull my right hand back, the left hand comes out and my hips open. I can do the same thing backing up. Step in, left leg back, hips are forward, punch when I stop moving. Again, right leg comes in, right leg steps back, crescent stepping, hips are forward, and punch. So all put together, it looks like this. Backing up. Notice how the hips open every time the punch hits. From the side, oizuki, I have my right hand and right leg forward, step in, step out, punch, hips open. Other side, step in, right leg, step out right leg, pull, and punch. Backing up, feet together, crescent step out, pull. Again, always, oizuki is always lead hand. Left hand, left leg. Bring the left leg in, step out to the left, punch right, pull left, the hips open. That's oizuki, lunge punch. Now we're going to do oizuki, moving in Seisan dachi together. So get up and join in. We're going to start with our left leg forward, right leg back. So take Seisan stance, and hips are off. Put your left hand out. We're going to count 10. What we're going to do is we're going to do 2 forward and then 2 backing up. So starting left hand out, we're going to step in and punch with the right hand. Ready? Ich, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. Now the same technique from the side. Left leg forward, right leg back, the left hand out. One thing to remember when we did punching at uchi is that both punches are going to the same target, the center of the body, the solar plexus. So when I'm moving in Seisan, it's the same way. You don't want your left hand drifting out to the side. Punch to the center, same with the right hand. So be sure to center the punch. From the side, left leg forward, right leg back, left hand out. We're going to do 2 forward, right, then left, 2 backing up. Ich, ni, san, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. So that's oizuki, moving in Seisan dachi. All right, continuing with punching while moving in Seisan dachi. Oizuki is when you're moving and the same hand as the leg that's forward is out. So I step and I punch. What we're going to do next is gyakuzuki. Gyaku means reverse or opposite, and zuki again is punch. So this is it's called a reverse punch, which is referring to the fact that my whatever leg is out, in this case my left leg is out, the punch is going to come from my right hand. When we did oizuki, the hips turn off to the side, open position in Seisan dachi. When we do gyakuzuki, again, we can actually do this without moving first. It's typically how we start when doing this punch. So left hand out, right hand back. What I'm going to do is punch, just like we did in uchi. The key feature in Seisan dachi is that I'm going to turn my hips with the punch. So when I punch, I pull, and the hand comes out. Notice how my hips come forward with the punch. Otherwise, the punch is exactly the same as when we did it static, the center of the body, or when we did oizuki, center of the body. Just now, gyakuzuki, I rotate my hips to the forward position. So I pull, I punch. Here I am in a completed gyakuzuki. What I'm going to do is crescent step forward now. I leave this hand out as I step. Feet come in. I step out. Notice when I land here, I let my hips turn off to the side. It's almost as if I had completed an oizuki. But I'm just leaving the hand out. Hips are open. Once I finish stepping, my feet are planted, I'm going to rotate my hips forward. Knees stay bent. Be sure not to retract. It's a common mistake, retracting this front knee when you punch. You want to leave it bent. Everything stays the same. I just pull my hands and turn my head. So backing up, I crescent step in. Again, just leave this hand out, the left hand. Crescent step in and back. Again, my hips open, and then when I punch, they close. From the side, start with right hand out, left hand back. Hips are open, bring feet together. Step out with the left foot. Crescent step in. We'll do the first punch in place. So right leg forward, left leg back. Punching with the left hand. Pull the right, punch with the left. Hips come forward. They stay forward as long as that hand is out. Coming forward, step in, step out with the left. Hips are open, I pull the hand back, hips come forward, punch comes out. Again, backing up, crescent step together. Notice how I keep my knees bent when I crescent step, and my back as straight as possible. Left leg steps back, hips are open, pull, and punch. Good, that's gyakuzuki, reverse punch. All right, now let's do gyakuzuki, moving forward and backwards in Seisan dachi together. So stand up, get into a Seisan dachi stance, left leg forward, right leg back. Put your left hand out. Now for gyakuzuki, we'll do the first punch in place, then we'll step, punch, and then back up. Step, punch, step, punch. We'll count 10. Again, let's do the first one in place, and then we'll begin after that with ich. So, punch. Right side, now moving. Ich, ni, backing up. San, shi, go, roku, shichi, hachi, ku, ju. Now we'll do it from the side. I'll start right leg forward, left leg back. Right hand out, remember hips are off. Going to punch, left hand. First one in place, and then we'll count. 2 forward, 2 back. Left hand punch, hips forward, now moving. Ich, ni, san, shi, go. Roku, sechi, hachi, ku, ju. Yakuzuki, moving in Seisan dachi.